Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank, it's an honor to be here today. I'm going to give you a little brief history about myself. Like it was said, I was a student at East Ridge High School in Irondequoit. I had no direction in life. I had no cares, no worries. I didn't even know what I was going to do when I got out of high school. So at the time that I was in 1973, they had the draft, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the draft. I got my draft card, and my number was 52, so I figured I was going to go into the service whether I wanted to or not. Well, the draft ended in December of 73. So in January of 74, I made the decision, I'm going to enlist in the United States Army. My family, we come from a long line of military that actually goes back to the colonial wars in the 1600s where a member of the Peck family had served. So my father, being a Korean War vet, had always instilled in me that it is your duty, your honor, and your job to enlist in the Army to defend this country. So I enlisted into the Army in January of 74 under what they call a delay entry program, where I had the opportunity to finish high school and get my high school diploma. A few days after I graduated, I was off to basic training. I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina for basic training, and at the time, the Vietnam War was going on, but in the 70s, it was winding down. So when I enlisted, the first thing I said is I want to go to Vietnam. My Army recruiter plainly said, well, the war is coming to an end, but at any given time, if they decide to send you over there, we'll give you the opportunity to go. So I ended up going into the service, and I learned a trade, which was very important to me because, again, I had no direction in life. I was a kid of the 60s and 70s, and to me, if I had not gone into the service, I would have probably had a dead-end job. God knows what path I would have taken in life. I know a lot of my friends went that route, and I'm glad I didn't go that route. So I reported for duty, served my country. I ended up going to Fort Gordon, Georgia, where I actually learned electronics. And at the time, I was learning all about computers, nothing like what you guys see. Ours were big, huge metal cabinets with miles and miles of wires and tubes and a little bit of circuitry in it. And my job was to actually repair them. And I worked on the test equipment to repair them, to maintain them, and to keep them functional. My service is what they called at the time an era vet, because I did not go to Vietnam. I got sent to Mannheim, Germany. My job for years I thought was not honorable enough to even mention. So just to continue on, I served my country in Germany for a year. I came home to the United States. I got reassigned to Seneca Army Depot, which is now closed. And when I got my honorable discharge, I came home, and the first thing I did is, after 3 years, is I threw my gear, my clothing, everything out, because at the time, which is nobody's fault, it was just the sign of the time, nobody cared if you were a veteran. Nobody, in fact, anytime we came home, we were not allowed to wear our uniforms because you were just asking for it. So again, I threw my equipment out, and I acted like the last 3 years of my life didn't exist. When I got out, I married my childhood sweetheart. I got a wonderful job. With the training I received in the military, I got a job at Xerox, and I worked there as a technician for 35 years. And I'm very proud of it, and I raised 2 great kids, my son and my daughter, and put them through college. And it was 25 years after I had been discharged that an individual came up to me and actually thanked me for my service. And at the time, I was blown away. I didn't even know how to respond, how to act. It made my wife cry. But that was the first time. And it took me that long, if not even longer, to admit to anyone that I was a veteran. I never regretted it. Please, I want to make that clear. I never regretted serving my country because I think it made me a better person and actually made me what I am today, which I think is pretty good. And after almost 28 years, I was approached by the Vietnam Veterans of America and asked to join. And I told them in clear conscience I don't think I could do that because I had a problem standing next to guys who did 2 or 3 tours in Vietnam, seen things that we could never fathom. And here I was in Germany drinking beer and working a job I absolutely loved. So that point, I finally decided, okay, maybe this is something I should be a part of, because I did have issues from my military service that I won't get into. But I eventually joined Vietnam Veterans of America, the national organization, and that was in 1996. In 1998, I became a little more active in it, and at that time, when people asked me if I was a veteran, I would always say, no, I don't even want to talk about it. I started to admit I was a veteran. And again, when the Gulf War came around, all of a sudden it became really cool to be a veteran. So in 2005, I ended up joining the local chapter 20 of the Vietnam Veterans. These guys welcomed me with open arms. I come to find out there are just as many Air vets in the national organization as there are combat vets. So as time went on, I became a little more involved in it, and I ended up running for the office, I was elected for the office of secretary for Chapter 20. I became the POW MIA chair for Chapter 20, where I actually keep on the list of progress that's going through with finding and recovering our missing soldiers from the Vietnam War, as also with the Korean, World War II, and World War I soldiers. Presently, there are still 1,618 people that have not been accounted for from the Vietnam War, and it does me good to see that the government's actually working with the Vietnamese government, Laotian government, and Thailand to find, recover, and bring home our boys who served and finally give their families a little peace and closure in this. So after I became part of this organization, I started speaking at functions like this, and I have to admit, one thing I can do is I can talk. And sometimes it's a blessing and sometimes it's a curse. So when I was asked to do this, a little nervous, but I decided I needed to talk to everybody. I also, when I retired from Xerox, I wanted to do a little bit more for the veteran community, other than just to sit home, go on trips, go to the casino, watch TV. That's not me. So I was asked and I volunteered to join a hospice program through Lifetime Care. And what I do now is when a veteran is in the last stages of his life, the families request to have an individual to sit with them. It gives me the opportunity to actually sit with these great heroes who serve their country in every capacity you could possibly think of and talk to them. And I can listen just as good as I can speak. And they tell me stories that you would never hear from anyone else or read in a history book or see on TV. And this is women veterans, men who served in Korea and World War II, Vietnam. And it gives me comfort to know that, I'm helping them take this load off their mind. I've been approached by the families after and said that, what my father or my grandfather or my husband has told you, we never knew. And by you sitting there and talking with him and listening to him, it gave us peace that he could finally get this stuff off his chest. And similar to talking to Jeremy, veterans have a connection. And it's hard to explain, because my sister is actually a veteran. She served 4 or 5 years after I was discharged. her and I could sit and talk about certain things that my other siblings have no idea what we're talking about. Again, I sat with Jeremy outside, and immediately we connected because we had that bond. It's a brotherhood. I'm proud of what I do, and you know, I feel I'm helping veterans as well as they're helping me to get over some of the issues that I have. A lot of us guys, we served our country. Yes, I did not serve in Vietnam, but I served in military bases where I was exposed to Agent Orange. And after all this time, 40 years after, I'm suffering from the effects of Agent Orange. And finally, the government is stepping up and helping those who need help with this. And I'm very thankful for that. So I don't know how I'm running on time. I don't know what else more to tell you. I just feel it's very important, if you have it in your mind or you have it in you that you want to serve your country, it is not a bad thing. I mean, back in our day it was different. It was a whole different era. It was not a cool thing to do. Out of 400 people from my class, only 2 of us enlisted. And that was just the way it was. And nowadays, I met an individual, one of the students today, who is planning on enlisting in the United States Army, and I'm proud of him. And I know he'll do good. He's going to learn a trade. He's going to learn lessons that are so invaluable that it's hard to explain to anybody else who's never gone that path what it's like. So my hat's off to you, sir, for continuing on your education and going into the military service. So that's all. I hope I portrayed everything I could possibly give you about the military, and I thank you very much.